The passenger climbed into the back seat at 11:47 p.m., gave an address in the financial district, and immediately pulled out his phone without acknowledging Katherine Morrison's existence. This was normal. In 5 years of driving night shift taxi in the city, Kate had become exceptionally good at being invisible, which was ironic considering she'd once been one of the CIA's most effective field operatives precisely because people always underestimated middle-aged women. What wasn't normal was the black SUV that had been following them for the last 3 blocks, maintaining exactly 2 car lengths behind, making every turn Kate made. The passenger hadn't noticed, but Kate had been trained to notice everything. Katherine Morrison was 55 years old, drove a yellow taxi 12 hours a night, 6 nights a week, and made approximately $35,000 a year after expenses. She lived in a small apartment, paid her bills on time, and had perfected the art of being completely unremarkable. Her passengers, drunk college students, tired professionals, couples arguing about dinner plans, treated her like a piece of furniture that happened to know the fastest route to their destination. She spoke when spoken to, kept her opinions to herself, and collected her fares without complaint. She was exactly what people expected a middle-aged taxi driver to be, someone who'd never done anything particularly interesting, going nowhere particularly important, living a life of quiet routine. What none of them knew was that Kate had spent 25 years as a CIA field operative specializing in human intelligence operations. She'd run assets in hostile territory, coordinated extraction operations, identified threats that would have cost thousands of lives. She spoke 7 languages fluently, could read people with frightening accuracy, and had reflexes honed by situations most people couldn't imagine surviving. She'd retired 5 years ago, not forced out, not burned out, just done. Her husband had died of cancer, her daughter lived overseas, and Kate had decided she wanted a simple life where nobody was trying to kill her and nothing required constant vigilance. A taxi seemed perfect, quiet, routine, invisible, exactly what she'd wanted, until tonight. The black SUV was still there, 2 car lengths back, matching her speed exactly. Kate adjusted her rearview mirror slightly, getting a better angle on the vehicle. Tinted windows, no front plate, professionally maintained, not the kind of car that followed taxis by accident. Her passenger, a nervous-looking businessman in his 40s carrying an expensive briefcase, was scrolling through emails, completely oblivious. Kate made a casual turn onto a side street, not signaling until the last second. The SUV followed. Not random. Definitely not random. Kate's mind shifted into analytical mode, a mental space she hadn't accessed in 5 years, but that came back instantly, like muscle memory. Threat assessment, professional surveillance, possibly hostile, target likely the passenger, not her. Immediate options, continue to destination and hope it's just surveillance, or take evasive action and confirm hostile intent. Her hands stayed steady on the wheel, her expression calm. Just another night driving taxi. Except it wasn't. "Excuse me," Kate said, her voice carrying the polite neutrality of someone asking about the weather. "I don't mean to alarm you, but has anyone been following you? Anyone seem interested in your business lately?" The passenger looked up from his phone, annoyed at the interruption. "What? No, why would... Because there's a black SUV that's been behind us for the last 7 blocks. Professional surveillance. They're very good, but not quite good enough." She met his eyes in the rearview mirror. "So I'm going to ask you again, and I need you to be honest because our lives might depend on it. Why would someone be following you?" The passenger's face went pale. His hand tightened on the briefcase, and Kate knew immediately that this wasn't a mistake, wasn't paranoia, wasn't random. This man was carrying something that someone wanted badly enough to deploy a professional team. "I don't know what you're talking about. Just take me to my hotel." His voice shook slightly. Kate made another turn. The SUV followed. "I spent 25 years in intelligence work," Kate said calmly, "and I can read people pretty well. Right now you're terrified, you're lying, and you're about 5 seconds from making a very bad decision, like jumping out of this car at the next red light and trying to run. Don't. They'll have a second vehicle for exactly that scenario. Your best chance is letting me get us somewhere public and well lit where they can't make a move without witnesses. The passenger stared at her. You're a taxi driver. I am now, Kate agreed. But I used to do other things. And right now, those other things are going to keep you alive if you trust me and tell me what's actually happening. The man hesitated, then made a decision. I'm a financial analyst. I found evidence of massive fraud in my company. We're talking hundreds of millions being laundered through offshore accounts. I copied the files. I was supposed to deliver them to the FBI field office tomorrow morning, but someone found out. My apartment was broken into this afternoon. I've been trying to stay in public places, but I need to get to the FBI tonight before. He stopped as the SUV suddenly accelerated, pulling alongside them. Kate saw the rear window starting to lower and didn't wait to see what came next. She yanked the wheel hard right, cutting across 2 lanes into a narrow alley between buildings, accelerating hard. The passenger shouted something. The SUV tried to follow but was blocked by traffic. Kate had maybe 30 seconds. She took a series of turns, left, right again, using delivery routes and service alleys that most people didn't know existed, that wouldn't show up on GPS. Her passenger was gripping the door handle, looking terrified. What are you doing? Keeping you alive, Kate said, checking her mirrors. No SUV, yet. But they know your destination now. The hotel isn't safe. The FBI field office isn't safe until morning. They'll have people watching both. You need somewhere unexpected, somewhere they can't predict. She pulled out her phone, one-handed, thumb moving across the screen with practiced efficiency. I'm calling someone, former colleague. He owes me several very large favors, and he's still active at the agency. He can arrange secure transport and protection until we get you to the FBI. You're really CIA? The passenger asked, voice somewhere between disbelief and hope. Was, Kate corrected. I drive taxis now, but apparently I'm not as retired as I thought. She glanced in the mirror, still clear. What's your name? David Chen. Okay, David, here's what's going to happen. My colleague is going to meet us at a 24-hour diner in 15 minutes. Public location, lots of witnesses, security cameras. We'll transfer you to his protection. He'll get you to the FBI, and you'll give them your evidence. Those files in your briefcase are going to put some very bad people in prison, and you're going to testify, and your life is going to be complicated for a while. But you'll be alive. She made another turn, taking a route that would loop them back toward the diner through streets the SUV couldn't predict. And David? When this is over and someone asks how you survived tonight, you tell them a taxi driver noticed something was wrong and took you to the FBI. That's it. No details about what I used to do, no names, no CIA. I'm just a taxi driver who got concerned. Understood? David nodded slowly. Why are you helping me? You could have just let me out. Stayed out of it? Kate was quiet for a moment. 5 years ago, I retired because I was tired of living in a world where people were constantly trying to kill each other over money and power and secrets. I wanted simple. I wanted quiet. I wanted to drive a taxi and not think about threat assessments and operational security and whether every passenger was going to die if I made the wrong call. She pulled into the diner parking lot, positioning the taxi where multiple security cameras would have clear angles. But turns out you don't stop being who you are just because you change jobs. Those instincts don't go away. That training doesn't fade. And when you see someone about to die because they tried to do the right thing, you don't get to pretend you don't know how to help, even if you really, really wanted to. 20 minutes later, David Chen was in a secure vehicle with 2 federal agents Kate had worked with in another life. The files were secured. The threat was contained. Kate's former colleague, a weathered man in his 60s named Marcus, stood beside her taxi. You know they're going to want to debrief you. Ask questions. This is going to bring attention. I know, Kate said. Tell them what they need to know about tonight, nothing more. Tell them the taxi driver used to work in private security, had situational awareness training, made the right call. Don't mention the agency. Don't mention my operational history. I'm just a concerned citizen who happened to know who to call. Marcus studied her. You could come back. They'd take you back in a heartbeat, especially after tonight. You still have it, Kate. The instincts, the skills, the judgment. Kate looked at her taxi, dented, paint fading, a small crack in the windshield she kept meaning to fix. I know I could come back, and I know I still have the skills. But I also know that I spent 25 years in a world where every decision carried life or death weight, where I couldn't sleep without checking sightlines and exit routes, where everyone was either an asset or a threat. I walked away from that for a reason. She opened her taxi door. What happened tonight doesn't mean I made the wrong choice. It just means that sometimes the skills from your old life are still useful in your new one. But that doesn't mean you have to go back to the old life completely. Marcus nodded slowly. So you're going back to driving taxi? I am, Kate confirmed. But maybe not quite the same way. Maybe I start paying more attention. Maybe I stop pretending I don't notice things. Maybe being a taxi driver who used to do interesting work isn't something I need to hide from so completely. She smiled slightly. You spend your whole life learning to see patterns, read people, identify threats. Turns out those skills are useful even when you're just trying to get passengers safely to their destinations. Not everything has to be international espionage to matter. 3 months later, Katherine Morrison was still driving night shift taxi. She still made $35,000 a year. She still lived in her small apartment, but she'd stopped pretending to be completely invisible. When she spotted domestic violence situations in her taxi, she knew which resources to recommend. When she picked up teenagers running from bad situations, she knew how to connect them with help. When she saw tourist scams or suspicious activities, she knew who to call. She'd even started working as a consultant for a local organization, helping women escape dangerous situations, teaching situational awareness, personal safety, how to read threatening body language. The skills from 25 years in intelligence work applied to protecting ordinary people in ordinary situations. No international conspiracies, no life or death operations, just using expertise to help people navigate a world that could be dangerous in much simpler, more common ways. She'd learned that you didn't have to choose between being the invisible taxi driver and being the CIA operative. You could be both. You could drive people safely through the city at night and also be someone who noticed when something was wrong, who knew how to help, who understood that awareness and skill weren't wasted just because they weren't being used for classified operations. The difference was integration, balance, and the understanding that expertise didn't have to define your entire life to still be valuable. Some nights she was just a taxi driver helping drunk college students get home safely. Other nights she was a former intelligence operative making sure her passengers weren't being followed. Both mattered. Both were real. And both could exist in the same person, driving the same taxi, living the same life, just with eyes that saw more than most people expected, and skills that surfaced exactly when needed. If you enjoyed this story of hidden brilliance and the power of underestimated expertise, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and smash that like button for more powerful stories of people who proved that age is just a number and that the most dangerous capabilities often hide behind the most ordinary appearances. What would you do? Stay silent and protect your peace, or reveal yourself to save people who disrespected you? Drop your thoughts below. Where are you watching from? Let us know your country in the comments. We love hearing from our amazing community around the world.